Hello. Excuse the beeping in the back. That's the refrigerator. It'll cease soon. Um, so, Saturn and Aries. My Saturn return is coming up. Saturn moves into the sign of Aries February 20th, and I believe it's on the same day that Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct at 0 degrees together. Exciting time. So, I wanted to discuss some things that are coming up for me with my Saturn in Aries. I've got Saturn in Aries in the first house. I am a Pisces rising, but by a quadrant house system, I have an Aries interception in the first house. Um, so, right now, it feels like Saturn is asking me to take care of my skin, to take care of my hair, to take care of my teeth, everything that is very, I guess, Saturn ruled when it comes to the body. And I find this interesting because it wasn't until I was reflecting that I saw that this was the case. Saturn in Aries is about so many things. Saturn in Aries is about deepening my awareness of myself. Saturn in Aries is about strengthening my courage and bravery. And Saturn in Aries is about the face. It's about the teeth. It's about the bones. It's about the skin, the hair, all these sort of structures of the body. Yeah, so um, one thing that I was experiencing with my skin was that it felt like itchy. This was like since last year during the summertime when Saturn, I think Saturn was actually in Aries during that time. That's when I discovered that I experienced this where when I go into the shower, it's like my skin would feel really, really itchy. And then when I would come out of the shower, it'd get even worse, and it was wild. I think it had to do with the water quality of where I used to live. But even now, it's something that can happen, although not as strongly. So I've been combating it by taking care of my skin. I feel like that's the Neptunian influence. Using a special cream, making sure that I use the lotion when the skin is still wet so that it can absorb it, and that's like my base layer. And then I use Vaseline over top, and my skin feels better. It feels more hydrated, so I feel like Saturn was asking me to take care of my skin. Um, Something else that I would experience is that I feel like I look older, and I think people think I look older too. Prior to my Saturn return beginning, a lot of people would tell me that I looked like I was 19, 20. Whereas now people, they think I look my age. I'm about 29. So that's kind of interesting. But even more than that, I I can see my age. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, mid to late last year, I started to notice, wrinkles, or the skin is starting to change from when I was younger. I started to notice all of these sort of shifts, and I feel like, as I say, with Saturn being in the first house, people are also noticing that I look older, and it's not a bad thing. It's maturity, right? But I have to tell myself that. I have to remind myself that. But it's a good thing. Oh, and my hair. Yeah, my hair also became a topic that I hadn't really thought about my hair prior for quite a few years, and it became a topic all of a sudden. All these YouTube videos started to show up on my feed about natural hair, and my hair is natural. Um, but I hadn't really thought about it. I hadn't thought about going into that process like I had when I was younger. Um, yeah, it's like I feel like Saturn loves when things are natural and real, and when we use effort to make them stronger and better. Um, and so I feel like Saturn's been asking me, go on this sort of hair journey. Um, Take care of your hair. And I feel like with Neptune there, it's take care of your hair and also appreciate, nurture, and care for your hair. I feel like with Saturn here, it's through learning how to care for these structures. My teeth, also, that was something that came up. These structures of my body that I'll learn how to care for myself, and build foundations for my growth and to also ways to experience my value. I also have Saturn in the second house by whole signs. So it feels like both are very integral. Oh, I was going to play a cute guessing game. I was going to say, oh, well, it's my Saturn return in Aries, and all these things have been coming up for me. Um, I've been noticing that I'm getting a little bit older. I've been seeing that. I've been thinking more about my hair. I've been thinking more about my skin and how I take care of it. Um, so, and other people have been noticing that I look older, not in a negative way, just, they see that I now look my age versus a few years ago when people would think I looked like I was 20 or something. So, with all of this in mind, guess where my Saturn return is taking place? It's my first house. Yes, my Saturn return is taking place in my first house. Yeah, so the first house has to do with my body, how people perceive me when they first meet me. I have notes that I'm looking at here. It also has to do with my vitality, how strong I feel, how healthy I feel. Um, it's about how I approach the world around me, the first house. It's about my awareness when I'm experiencing new experiences. It's about how people see me, how they view me when they first meet me. Um, yeah, so no wonder all these topics have been coming to the front of my mind with Saturn now transiting my first and second houses. Yeah. I am excited for my Saturn return. I'm not excited for the parking tickets, which I can talk about later in another video. Um, yeah, but it feels like it's an opportunity for fortifying and nourishing myself. Um, yeah, it feels like I'm getting an opportunity to do that, to bring health back into my life. Something else I wanted to also speak about when it comes to my Saturn return is that natally I have, so Saturn in the first house, sometimes the second, depending on the house system. So I have Mercury opposing that Saturn. So I've got Mercury in the 7th or 8th houses. And I'm discussing that because I associate, and astrologers in general associate Mercury with movement and fast movement as well. So, having Saturn in my first house, the house of also my intelligence, the house that is the helm, the house that is all about my awareness in this world and in my body, having Mercury opposing that house and being so far away from it, the furthest that it can be in the 7th house, it says something about the way that I experience myself in the world. I'm someone who has experienced running away from awareness, which is interesting. And I feel like Saturn is calling me back home with that Saturn Mercury opposition. So I'm like this, I'm running. And maybe I'm running to relationships and people because I've got Mercury and Libra. I'm running to trying to live through other people unconsciously, subconsciously, but in, subtle ways. I'm running, I'm running, I'm running. And Saturn is asking me to slow down and just sit. And that's not easy for Mercury. But when I slow down and I sit, I'm being steeped in awareness. I'm being steeped in presence. And I feel like part of that presence is being aware of the body, but recognizing that, like that frog. How they say there's the frog, and the frog is sitting in the bowl of water, and the water is slowly being heated, and the frog doesn't realize it's being cooked alive. Depressing, but I can see myself as sitting in that water of the body, and instead of moving away from awareness, not realizing what's taking place, what's happening, I'm moving closer to my awareness. I'm moving within. Yeah. So instead of running away, I'm running or moving towards the inside with patience. And I feel like that's to help me get over this fear I have about being in awareness. I have this habit of, okay, I'm in awareness, and then meta, being aware that I'm in awareness, which takes me out of the awareness that, I am who I am and I'm seated here in my body with myself. And then it takes me out of the experience because of the fear, right? It's like I just bolt, I run away. And Saturn has to do with fears. So I feel like Saturn is slowing down this process so that I can begin to sit with myself. I had this really beautiful experience, with me starting this YouTube channel. Naturally, I'm not the happiest with all the content that's being put out, but it's a learning process, right? And I had this experience where I was watching one of my videos. So it's interesting. I'm watching the self, which is the first house, but from a seventh house perspective. 11th house, I guess, really. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm all of a sudden another person watching this person in time speaking in this video. So I'm watching this video, and it's funny. As I'm speaking, I don't feel like I'm myself anymore. I feel like I'm watching this other person, but I have a lot of good feelings in my heart for this person. I've got a lot of love for this person. So I'm watching, and I'm looking at different parts of the face, and I'm appreciating. And I just have this feeling of sweetness, and like and love that's coming up. Just slowly it's rising, this feeling of, oh, I like this person. She's so this, she's so that. And then it feels like I'm being bathed in this feeling of love while I'm looking at my physical face in the camera or in the video. And it was a good experience, and it helped remind me of that feeling of love that I've got to always carry in my heart towards myself. I got a sun in Virgo, so I can be very judgmental, which so when I watch the video, I'm like, oh, maybe I could have done this, I could have done that. But this experience was taking me out of that first house judgmental perspective, and then kind of flipping it on its head and putting me in that seventh house experience to bring me back to myself. So it's like going around in a circle just to get back to what point zero, home base. Um, yeah, so that's what my Saturn return is talking to me about right now. Um, yeah.